my worst enemy, the flesh that's covering me, brings me down to my knees.
Welcome to Sermons in the Park, a ministry exploring biblical truth from the Word of God, focusing on the truths that help us in our daily walk with Christ in every aspect of our lives. Now, here is your Reverend, Jamie McCaskill.
And welcome back to Sermons in the Park. Today we're continuing our series on the truth behind the people who follow Jesus. So far we've covered, Matthew, the redeemed sinner, right? We've covered Judas, the follower who turned away. We've done Mary Magdalene, the woman who was delivered from darkness. And we've done Thomas, the doubter turned believer. Now today I want to look at two people. I want to look at two brothers, James and John, who were known as the sons of thunder. That's quite a nickname, isn't it? It wasn't the gentle brothers. No, it wasn't the peacemakers. Was it? No. Jesus called them the sons of thunder. These were men who had passion, they had power, and they had a temper. So Jesus chose them anyway, didn't he? So who are these sons of thunder? Well, let's look at Mark chapter 3, verse 17. There we read, "And James the son of Zebedee, and John the brother of James, and he surnamed them Boanerges, which is the sons of thunder." Again, these were fishermen. They worked with their father, Zebedee, and we can assume they also worked alongside Peter and his family. Jesus called them to follow him. And again, we know that they did what? They dropped their nets immediately. But we don't need to make a mistake here. These two had fire in their veins, right? In Luke chapter 9, verse 54, when the Samaritan village refused to welcome them, Jesus, James, and John, right? We read, "Lord, wilt thou that we command fire to come down from heaven and consume them, even as Elijah did?" That's James and John speaking there. That isn't the fruit of the Spirit, is it? No. They were ready to call down fire on anyone who didn't agree with them. But Jesus turned to them and he rebukes them. Continuing on in verses 55 and 56, we read, "You know not what manner of spirit ye are of, for the Son of Man is not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them." That's, of course, like I said, Luke chapter 9, verses 55 and 56. That is the heart of Jesus. Jesus didn't want to burn people up. He wanted to build people up. And that's what he began doing with these fiery brothers. You see, they had zeal without grace. They remind us of believers who have zeal, but not love. They were bold, they were fearless, they were loyal, but they were also proud and impatient. Don't forget when their mother came to Jesus. We need to look at Matthew chapter 20, verses 21 here. There she asked if her sons could sit at his right and left hand in the kingdom. That's not humility, that's ambition. Right? Sometimes our passion for ministry can turn into pride if we forget who it's all about. You see, James and John, they had to learn that following Jesus was not about power, it was about purpose. So Jesus transformed them, didn't he? That's the beautiful part. We don't see Jesus reject them because of their zeal. No, he redirects it. He took their thunder and he turned it into love. John especially, because he becomes a perfect example of transformation. The same man who wanted to call down fire later became known as the Apostle of Love. In his gospel and letters, John wrote more about love than any other disciple. Did you know that? Look at 1 John chapter 4, verse 7. It says, "Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and every one that loveth is born of God and knoweth God." That is thunder turned to tenderness. James, on the other hand, he became the first apostle to die for his faith in Acts chapter 12, verse 2. He was the man who once wanted to destroy others, and he laid down his own life for the sake of Christ. That is what Jesus does. He doesn't waste your fire. He purifies it. And these are some of the lessons that we can learn from the sons of thunder. The first one, of course, being that zeal without love is dangerous. You see, our passions, they need to be guided by the Spirit, not by our pride or our emotions. The second thing we can learn is that Jesus can transform our temper into a testimony. He can take those rough edges and use that to reach other people. The last thing we can learn is the closer that you walk with Jesus, the quieter your thunder will become. John leaned on Jesus' chest at the Last Supper, right? This man who once was full of noise, he found peace near the heart of Christ. These two brothers, they teach us that God is not looking for perfect people. He is looking for people who are willing to be changed. He takes the fishermen, the zealots, the doubters, and yep, even those old hotheads, and he can turn them into saints. Maybe you are like James and John. You're full of passion, but you're still learning patience. Well, don't let that devil tell you that God can't use that fire. Put that fire in the hands of Jesus and watch him turn your thunder into grace. Brothers and sisters, these sons of thunder, they started out with pride, they started out with temper. But where did they end up? They ended up with faith and love. Jesus didn't silence their thunder, he sanctified it. And that is what he wants to do with you. Thank you for joining me here on Sermons in the Park. I pray that this message has spoken to your heart. If you have been carrying burdens that you were never meant to carry, surrender them to Jesus today. Lay them at the foot of the cross. God bless you. I'll see you next time. I love you.
You have been listening to Sermons in the Park with Reverend Jamie McCaskill. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, BitChute, and Rumble. And as always, thank you for listening.
There's joy for the morning, sinner be still. Earth has no sorrow, heaven can't heal. Earth has no sorrow, heaven can't heal. So let